Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White were having a heated discussion at halftime. We're in the street as Caitlin Clark told White to sit Kelsey Mitchell and Howard because they don't pass. Could be true. Caitlin went to tie her shoe. Like, that is something that I noticed. Like, Caitlin literally, when Natasha Howard had the ball, she didn't even look. She was basically walking back on defense. She essentially walked back on defense every time Natasha.
No surprise that the Indiana Fever looked best tonight when the offense was ran.
See Natasha Howard. Natasha Howard looked off Caitlin Clark to end the third quarter. She looked off Caitlin Clark to end the third quarter. In what was
Caitlin Clark didn't just light up the scoreboard, she lit a fire behind the scenes first. Before dismantling the dream, sources say she got into a fiery clash with coach Stephanie White that left the locker room sizzling. Was it a bold, strategic call, some sharp-tongued sass, or total chaos? Whatever it was, what followed on the court was nothing short of a hostile takeover. Atlanta didn't just lose, they froze. Strap in, because this wasn't just a game, it was pure drama turned highlight gold. Let's break it down.
Through Caitlin Clark. There's no surprise that the offense looked best tonight when we pushed the ball off of a make, pushed the ball off of a miss. There's no surprise that the Indiana Fever looked best tonight when Caitlin Clark was surrounded by players that don't have an ego, surrounded by players that said, I'm going to be MVP of the WNBA this year. And you see how easy it is when you just let Caitlin play ball and others follow.
There was Caitlin, mid-game, energy electric, crowd on fire, and instead of cutting or calling for the ball, she calmly bent down in front of the Fever bench to tie her shoes, slow, intentional, like she was prepping for a Vogue shoot, not a WNBA showdown. Why? Because she already knew Howard wasn't passing that ball back. Not then.
Just incredibly dumb play. And again, like if you didn't see here, Natasha Howard looks off Caitlin Clark to run to nowhere, takes 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 steps to the cha-cha slide, and gets it to Caitlin Clark with 3 seconds to go, and she asks you to tough step back. Instead of letting Caitlin Clark push the pace and go and hit someone with an assist or something.
Caitlin could have filed a change of possession report with HR and still never seen the ball again. It was one of those perfectly passive-aggressive moments that said everything without saying a word. That slow shoe tie, it wasn't about laces, it was a resignation letter in looped knots. A silent protest wrapped in comedy. Right in the middle of the game, the message was loud and clear, asterisk go ahead, do your thing. I'll be over here protecting my ankles, since nobody else is protecting possessions.
Performance from Caitlin Clark in what was an encouraging win for the Fever over the Dream. You know, the loss to the Golden State Valkyries would have you thinking the Fever need to be relegated and kicked out of the WNBA. But that's why you don't crash out too hard after one bad game. It's been an inconsistent ride for Indiana and for Clark as well, who's had to fight through a lot of injuries. But I think the encouraging thing from Cece was the fight that she showed on the floor. Clearly, she's not quite at 100%, still working her way back, hasn't found her 3-ball yet, but what she...
Here's where the layers start peeling back like old, crusty locker stickers that were never meant to last. Howard isn't just ignoring Caitlin on offense. No, she's turned it into a full-blown side quest. Every possession plays out like a dramatic solo act, asterisk me, myself, and I, the musical asterisk starring Nalissa Howard, with 0 supporting cast. Forget ball movement, forget chemistry. This isn't basketball, it's a one-woman talent show. And Caitlin? She's just a background prop nobody even claps for.
We had Caitlin off ball and sitting a lot. Sitting on the bench, rotting away in the first half, and the second half where, oh my God, she's in the game. Oh my God, they're giving her the ball. Oh my God, they're letting her dictate tempo. It's not rocket science, folks. It really is not. Oh, did I forget to mention, the Indiana Fever beat the Atlanta Dream 99-82. The Atlanta Dream come into Indiana and walk out with an L as we celebrate with a...
It's wild, because Caitlin Clark didn't ride a wave of hype into the league for nothing. She's not just a scorer, she's a playmaker, a walking highlight reel, and a gravitational force that stretches defenses just by stepping on the court. But there's this quiet delusion floating around that Howard's the real alpha, the true franchise driver, while Caitlyn's just the flashy new model with bright lights and loud noise. But here's the thing, Caitlyn comes fully loaded. Horsepower, GPS, game sense, and built-in viral moments. Meanwhile, Howard's out here trying to parallel park with her eyes closed, and fans, they're not blind. They see it in 4K, on repeat the second Howard touches the ball. The offense doesn't slow down, it flatlines. It's like someone slamming the brakes mid-fast break to flip back through the playbook. Meanwhile, Caitlyn's either banished to the corner, tying her shoes, or silently doing math in her head just to cope with the chaos.
Let's start off with this, man. The game plan to stop the Dream from winning. And the main thing they were doing on defense, the Indiana Fever, was trying to collapse the defense on the bigs. Now, I get it. Brittany Griner, Bree Jones, they cooked us the first time we ever played them. And, you know, they are a really tough front court. But my thing is, if you have Jordan Canada shooting the way she was shooting from the three, just adjust, all right? Change the game plan, fam. You cannot continue to try to collapse on the...
You know things are bad when the team's best passer finds her shoelaces more interesting than the offense. That wasn't a timeout, that was a silent protest. Like, cool, go ahead and ESO again, I'll be down here lacing my Air Jordans and reviewing Newton's laws while you jack up another contested brick. Because let's be real, Howard isn't running an offense. She's auditioning for a fantasy league highlight reel. And the worst part, this isn't just a chemistry issue. It's a full-blown science experiment gone rogue. Caitlyn's trying to conduct a symphony, and Howard's over here shredding air guitar like it's a high school talent show. And the irony? When Clark does touch the ball, you know, those rare celestial events when Mercury's in retrograde and the pass actually comes, it leads to buckets, clean, efficient, beautiful basketball. But instead of building on that rhythm, Howard treats those moments like rare Pokemon sightings, fun to witness, but way too dangerous to chase. But then Clark does what she does, puts her head down, drives through defenders, opens up the floor with her vision, and suddenly the offense starts clicking. Sophie Cunningham is everywhere. She's cinched up with Aaliyah Boston again. Kelsey Mitchell starts cooking. The scoreboard lighting up, and Caitlyn? She's gaining rhythm, slowly returning to form, finding that spark. You can see it in her step, it's building. And yet, Clark's still forced to work miracles in 5-second possessions, pretending not to notice the giant shade being thrown by her own teammate. Let's be honest, if she wanted to be ignored and underused, she could have joined a corporate Zoom call and brought donuts. The delusion here? So thick, you could slice it with a get a red cap. And this isn't some one-off, there's an entire highlight reel, or maybe low-light reel, of Clark getting iced out while Howard goes full solo mode, acting like she's in a two-player game where only her controller works. Meanwhile, Caitlyn's just chucking snacks at the screen trying to stay relevant. And now we're hearing about reintegrating players? Look, Dennis needs to figure out how to fit in. Clark doesn't. This whole system was supposed to be built around her strengths, period. The blueprint wasn't that hard. And yet, here we are, wasting possessions while the face of your franchise is tying her shoes mid-game like it's the NBA Finals. But don't mistake that for defeat. That's not frustration. That's composure wrapped in sarcasm. That's WNBA level sipping tea, because Caitlyn knows exactly how this ends. When this experiment finally blows up, guess who'll still be standing? Stat sheet in hand, crowd in the palm of her hand. Not the ball hog with tunnel vision. And honestly, if Clark wanted to be petty, she could bring a folding chair to mid-court. Every time she passes the ball, just set up shop, cross her legs, and flip open a magazine titled How to Sabotage a Superstar in 10 Easy Steps, because that's how absurd it's gotten. And yeah, I'm concerned. Not just about the losses, but how they're losing. The low usage, the terrible spacing. Clark constantly shoved in the corner, catching off-balance passes in bad spots. This isn't just poor coaching. It's organizational malpractice, and if Indiana doesn't figure it out soon, they won't just lose games, they'll lose Caitlin Dottis. At her best when she's pushing it up the floor coming off the screen with the Leah Boston, you're not even doing that anymore. It seems like the Indiana Fever aren't prioritizing Caitlin Clark's growth as a player, but what they're prioritizing is the system of basketball that Stephanie White has ran throughout the entirety of her career. She and through it all, the fans don't miss a beat. Social media lights up every time Clark goes full Houdini without touching the ball. Every time she gets frozen out like it's a middle school lunch table feud, the memes write themselves. Because when your generational player is being benched by her own teammates' ego, the comedy almost writes itself. Yet Caitlin doesn't flinch, she just plays. She just takes over when the clock runs low and the game's on the line. She ties those shoes, like she's tying loose ends on a bad subplot. Because whether or not Howard ever figures it out, the truth remains. The show only starts when Caitlin Clark touches the ball. And if Howard wants to keep pretending this is her team, fine, let her. Just don't be surprised when the real takeover begins after the drama dies down and the laces are double knotted. Get Tash Howard off the floor. Seriously, if the Indiana Fever are running a science experiment to see how many possessions a single player can derail while dribbling in place, then sure, keep her out there. But if this is, basketball, then someone needs to hit the waiver button like it's a fire alarm. We're going to talk about that in the morning, bro. So much stuff happened behind the scenes between Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White. Then we got Sophie Cunningham speaking to the media tonight, but so much stuff happened. Let's say she clogs every lane like a plumbing issue that just won't quit. The second Caitlin Clark checks in, Howard's game somehow evaporates into confusion and congestion. It's like she sees spacing and says, "Oh no, we can't have that." Then proceeds to park herself right where Clark's passing lanes should be. She grabs a rebound and immediately believes it's her time to shine. Never mind that Clark is waving her hands like a traffic cop with a megaphone. Nope, Tasha is heading up the court in slow motion, scanning the floor like she's LeBron reincarnated in a fever dream, only to barrel into a double team and toss up a floater that clangs so hard it triggers car alarms outside the arena. Gig in the business, you went and blew it. You went and just made the job 10 times harder than what it needed to be. I've never seen somebody fumble a incredible talent like this. Generational once-in-a-lifetime player like this. I've never seen somebody fumble the bag this easy. This was an easy bag. This Stephanie White, this was an easy bag, bro. All you had to do was focus on the defense and let Kayla handle the offense. But you're fixated on this trash offense you brought from Connecticut that nobody wants to run. And don't even start on her shot selection, it's like a roulette wheel, with all the numbers replaced by bad decisions. Meanwhile, Clark is just trying to play chess while Howard's still arguing with the checkers board. The energy mismatch is so intense it could power a small city. Now, here's where things get spicy. When Caitlin's off the floor, Howard suddenly finds her groove, or at least she believes she does. More touches, more awkward mid-range shots, more self-importance. It's like she finally gets to live out the fantasy where she's the offensive anchor, except instead of anchoring the team, she's dragging the whole thing to the bottom of the standings. She's the co-captain of this anti-chemistry squad. She might not clog lanes like Howard, but her inconsistency is a full-blown epidemic. One night she's decent, the next night she's auditioning for the role of invisible forward 3. It's hard to tell if she's playing basketball or just out there doing cardio with a jersey on. Remove both, suddenly you've got a team. A real team, one that moves with purpose, finds open shooters, and actually executes plays instead of reenacting. So low montages, struggling with her shot, but in the second half, it looks like Stephanie White let her go. Stephanie White was like, "Alright, We need to get this W. Go ahead. Get us this W, Caitlyn. And listen, Caitlyn, she's got a horrible whistle. Steph Sophie Cunningham has a better whistle than Caitlyn. The only person on the team with a worse whistle than Caitlyn is probably Alia Boston, but even with that bad whistle, she keeps fighting, she keeps going. I mean, she's getting held and hacked and she's getting defended unlike anybody else on the court. Even when it's good defense, it's just in her jersey. Caitlyn becomes the general she's built to be, dissecting defenses, launching lasers, controlling tempo, and the rest of the squad doesn't have to tiptoe around teammates with main character syndrome. There's nothing more frustrating than watching Clark cook up a perfect possession, moving defenders like chess pieces only for the ball to end up in Howard's hands and immediately die there. You can see opponents light up when she checks in. They're not worried, they're excited. It's like handing out coupons for free layups. Meanwhile, Caitlyn's out here taking elbows, drawing charges, and running herself into the ground trying to make something happen. But there's only so much you can do when you're surrounded by a couple of human traffic cones. It's no wonder the moment Howard goes to the bench, the team looks competent. The ball starts zipping, movement comes back and spacing, actual beautiful spacing, returns like it was hiding in the locker.